6 decades ago, diamonds were discovered in Botswana, a nation then one of the poorest in the world. But this discovery wasn't just a stroke of luck. It was a chance to rewrite the country's destiny. And for many years, Botswana seemed to have done just that. But today, many questions arise. Could Botswana have done more with its immense wealth? Has it squandered opportunities to become a global economic powerhouse? Or is its progress, given its context, nothing short of a miracle? Let's dive into the story of Botswana's diamonds, development, and discourse. When Botswana gained independence in 1966, it was one of the least developed nations in the world. The country had only 12 kilometers of paved road and no major industries. The economy relied almost entirely on subsistence farming, making it vulnerable to droughts. Being landlocked and surrounded by apartheid regimes, Botswana also faced significant geopolitical challenges. But fate had a surprise in store. In 1967, the discovery of diamonds in Orapa changed everything. And this was not just any discovery. It was one of the largest diamond finds in history. With diamonds in its grasp, Botswana was poised for a quick rise. But how the country handled this wealth was what set it apart. Under the leadership of Sesera Tsekgama, Botswana negotiated a groundbreaking partnership with De Beers, ensuring a 50-50 revenue split. This was a bold and visionary move for a young nation. Fast forward a few decades, and Botswana became the poster child for resource management. The statistics were impressive. First was the rapid GDP growth. From 1966 to the early 2000s, Botswana had one of the fastest growing economies in the world, averaging 8 to 9% annual growth. And then there was the infrastructure development. Diamond revenues funded roads, bridges, hospitals, and schools. Botswana now boasts one of Africa's best road networks. There were also massive strides in human development. Education became a cornerstone of development, with literacy rates jumping from under 30% at independence to over 88% today. Healthcare improvements drastically reduced infant mortality and expanded life expectancy. And lastly, prudent savings by the government. Through the Pula Fund, Botswana saved a portion of its diamond wealth for future generations, creating one of Africa's earliest sovereign wealth funds. Very few countries rich in resources have managed their wealth as effectively as Botswana, or at least that's the common view whenever Botswana's rags to riches story is recounted. While Botswana's progress is undeniable, the question that remains is, could it have done more? Many people have argued that despite its success, Botswana has not fully capitalized on its diamond wealth, and a number of reasons are usually cited for this. The first is the over-dependence on diamonds. Diamonds account for 70% of export earnings and 30% of Botswana's GDP. This dependency leaves the economy vulnerable, and contrary to the famous Kanye West song, diamonds are not forever. The reserves are actually finite, and production is expected to decline significantly in the next 20 to 30 years. The government has made attempts at diversifying the economy, but industries like manufacturing, tourism, and technology remain underdeveloped. Next, we have high unemployment and inequality. Unemployment rates, especially among the youth, hover around 25%. While education is accessible, many graduates struggle to find jobs in a diamond-reliant economy. Income inequality is also stark, and rural areas lag behind urban centers like Gaborone and Francistown in terms of development and opportunities. Global comparisons have also been brought up to make the case for why Botswana should be further ahead. Singapore and Botswana had similar GDP per capita levels in the 1960s. While Singapore had no natural resources, it transformed itself into a global hub for trade, finance, and innovation. Today, its GDP per capita exceeds $70,000 compared to Botswana's $7,000. Should Botswana have leveraged its diamond wealth more aggressively to build a diverse, self-sustaining economy? That's an opinion that is increasingly becoming common. There is also the issue of untapped tourism potential. Botswana's Okavango Delta and abundant wildlife are among the most stunning in the world, and yet tourism contributes just far below its potential. But before we judge too harshly, we must consider Botswana's unique challenges and context. First, we need to consider the country's remarkable starting point. Botswana began its journey with virtually no infrastructure or skilled workforce. A lot of African and Asian countries already had an impressive infrastructure and workforce at their independence. Building a nation from scratch takes time. Secondly, we need to appreciate the geopolitical challenges. Being landlocked and surrounded by hostile apartheid regimes for much of its early years limited Botswana's trade opportunities and access to markets. Then you have the prudent choices by government. While some argue that Botswana could have taken more risks to diversify, the country prioritized stability and savings. Unlike many resource-rich nations, Botswana avoided corruption, debt crises, and violent conflicts. Admittedly though, issues of corruption have become more and more cited in recent years, culminating in part to the recent historical change of government in the country. Lastly, we have the population dynamics. With a small population of just 2.4 million, scaling industries like manufacturing or agriculture has unique limitations. All in all, Botswana's achievements are extraordinary given where it started. Its slow but steady approach has protected it from the pitfalls of resource wealth. Botswana's story is one of resilience and triumph, but also of untapped potential. It has achieved what many resource-rich nations could not, which is stability, prosperity, and hope. But the next chapter will depend on its ability to innovate, diversify, and uplift all its citizens. So, what do you think? Has Botswana lived up to its potential, or should it be further along by now? Do let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more videos on African history, politics, and everything in between. I'm Simon Bayani, and this is Africa in Retrospect. See you in the next one.